What's up guys, my name is Ace, and welcome back to another gun guide. This is the series where I go into great detail with all of the stats as well as some excellent attachment combinations for every gun in Modern Warfare 3. And in today's episode, we're going to be moving on to the TAQ Eradicator LMG. And starting it off as always, let's have a look at our damage profile, and with this gun, it's generally going to be a 5 to 6 shot kill. And it's also worth noting, in order to get this 5 or 6 shot kill, it doesn't matter where in the body you shoot them, so it's very forgiving in that sense. And on top of this, in the maximum damage range, if you mix 2 headshots in with torso or arm shots, you can cut this down to a 4-shot kill, but beyond that, headshots are completely useless. As for a rate of fire, this is where things get really interesting. This gun has a variable rate of fire. For the first 7 shots that you fire, those will come out at 909 rounds per minute, which is very fast. If you keep firing though, after those 7 shots are fired, your rate of fire will ramp down to 625 rounds per minute, which is significantly slower. And based on my testing, this will reset after about 1.4 seconds without firing. So it's not every single time you pull the trigger you get those first 7 shots coming out faster. There has to be a gap where you're not firing the gun for at least 1.4 seconds. And just to show you exactly what that looks like in game, this is the minimum gap that I was able to find where I was still able to reset that rate of fire so my first 7 shots would come out significantly faster. So that's the timing you want to be aiming for while using this gun. You got to make sure you're taking those little pauses between gunfights. Don't spray and pray too much or you'll get that really slow rate of fire, which will result in a significantly slower time to kill. As you can see here, our time to kill potential with a 5-shot kill, assuming it's within those first 7 shots that are coming out really fast, this is 264 milliseconds, which is an amazing time to kill in this game. That's actually better than most of the SMGs in this game up close, and it's absolutely the fastest in the LMG category. However, if we don't take advantage of that first 7-shot higher rate of fire, after that 7-shot mark, when we're down to 625 rounds per minute, now our 5-shot time to kill potential is 384 milliseconds, which is significantly slower, and it's now the slowest in the LMG category. So definitely a high risk, high reward type of gun. You really want to make sure you're landing those shots with the first 7 shots fired, because after that, you suddenly don't have a very good gun in your hands. Also, just a quick note, if we manage to get that 4-shot kill by landing 2 headshots with torso shots, within the first 7 shots, this time to kill potential is 198 milliseconds, which is very, very fast. Next, let's have a look at our ranges, and as you can see here, our 5-shot kill potential extends out to about 58 meters. That's an incredible 5-shot kill potential, and also it's worth noting our maximum damage range is about 33 meters, and that's only significant for those headshot situations. In almost every situation you'll find yourself in on the regular 6v6 maps, this will be a very consistent 5-shot kill. Also, it is worth noting our bullet velocity is great at 840 meters per second. As for hardcore game modes, our 1-shot kill potential in hardcore will extend out to that 58.9 meters, and anything beyond that will be a 2-shot kill to the body. However, we do get an infinite 1-shot kill potential to the head. Then let's have a look at our hipfire, and we actually have pretty solid hipfire for the LMG category at least. This is more along the lines of what you'd see with some of the assault rifles, for instance, at least when you're moving with our maximum hipfire spread. So pretty great hipfire overall as far as LMGs go. And now let's have a look at our recoil, which, as you can see, this is a very accurate gun. It kicks nicely upwards. It doesn't really bounce side to side much. It follows a very consistent recoil path as it goes upward. There's a little bit of a zigzag as it goes up, but it's nothing too crazy. No hard cuts left or right. And if you pay really close attention to those initial shots fired within those first 7 rounds that are firing really fast, they're also going to be firing very accurately. It seems most guns in this game are less accurate with the initial shots and then it gains accuracy over time. This gun is the opposite. It is most accurate with its initial shots fired. Although even after the initial shots, it's still a very accurate and easy to control weapon. After that, let's get into our handling stats, and our aim down sight time is pretty good for an LMG at 330 milliseconds. It's not the fastest in the LMG category, but it's noticeably better than average. And it's a similar story with our sprint out time. This is tied with the Holger as having the fastest sprint out time at 210 milliseconds for our standard sprint out time, and about 315 milliseconds for our tactical sprint out time. That's actually really comparable with some of the assault rifles in this game. Then when it comes to our reload add time, this is 2.34 seconds, which is pretty quick for an LMG. However, if you were to compare this to something like an assault rifle, it is still quite a slow reload time. So it's something you still have to plan for and make sure you're reloading in an appropriate situation, but at least it's not nearly as slow as some of the other LMGs that can take like 4 or 5 seconds to reload. And then finally, for the base stats of the TAQ Eradicator, let's have a look at our movement speeds. And across the board, we're just slightly below average. I would say this is within the realm of being average. for an LMG at least, which isn't saying much. I mean, the mobility's pretty slow with LMGs, and this gun is no exception. And there we go, that's gonna wrap it up for all of the base stats of the TAQ Eradicator. Now let's get into some excellent attachment combinations I've built for you guys. And the first one I wanted to share is my accuracy build, and this one is incredibly accurate. With this, we're using the Tempest GH50 muzzle, the Conquer 70 long barrel, the Mark III reflector optic, the TAQ Vert core stock, and the FSS combat grip. And with the combination of all of these, we can see we have an incredibly accurate gun on our hands. Honestly, I think this is a little bit overkill for most of the 6v6 maps, but if you're playing something like Ground War where you're really going to be stretching those ranges out, this build is excellent for that. And when it comes to our other stats, our aim down sight speed is slowed down a little bit. It's now 370 milliseconds, which is noticeably slower, but this is still pretty much just average for an LMG in this game, so it's not completely unusable. And it's basically the same thing with our sprint out time. It's a bit slower than the base, but it's not completely out of the ordinary for an LMG. And honestly, for this type of build, that shouldn't be a problem for you, since you should be hanging back and trying to pick people off at longer ranges. And speaking of ranges, our range values are boosted by 25% due to that barrel. That's an amazing range boost, as well as our bullet velocity boost. This is almost 1100 meters per second, so this should feel like hit scan almost all the time for you. And like I said, that's just an incredibly accurate gun, but I find that to be totally overkill for 6v6. And as a result, I actually tend to lean a little bit more in the direction of my second build, which is my TAQ Eradicator stealth build. And with this one, we are once again using the Conquer 70 long barrel. We've got the Shadow Strike suppressor to stay off the radar, the DR6 hand stop underbarrel, the 45 round magazine, and then finally, once again, that TAQ Vert core stock. Now with this, we don't have an optic, but that's okay because the iron sights are great on this, just like the TAQ 56 from Modern Warfare 2. Our recoil is also still great. This is a very accurate gun. Sure, it's got more recoil than the previous one, but especially for the first like 15 shots that you fire, they kick essentially straight upward with very little deviation. So accuracy definitely shouldn't be a problem for you with this particular build. Also, our aim down sight speed is very significantly improved. It's 270 milliseconds, so that's right around what you'd expect with an assault rifle build. And it's pretty similar with our sprint out time. This is 166 milliseconds for our standard sprint out time, which is great for an LMG at least. And then once again, just like with the previous build, our range and bullet velocity values are very noticeably boosted with this build as well. And that just makes for an incredibly versatile and easy to use build, as long as you're managing that faster fire rate properly and ensuring that you're getting your kills with those first 7 shots fired. And honestly, in my opinion, that's the only build you need for 6v6. That's an incredible build. It's actually one of my favorite builds in the game right now. However, I do have one last build I wanted to share for you guys, and this one's a much more niche build, but I wanted to share it anyway. And this is actually a TAQ stance build. So with this, we've got the Nullifier 7 light barrel, the Bruin Bastion angled grip, the Stovall DR laser box, the 45 round mag, and the Demo clean shot grip. Now, technically you can get a slightly better TAQ stance with this, but then you sacrifice too much in other areas, so I've actually tried to balance this a bit better so we get a better sprint out time out of it. And with this, you can see our TAQ stance spread is very tight, so you should be able to handle any close to mid-range gunfights just fine within TAQ stance. Our aim down sight speed is improved, but not by too much. It's 315 milliseconds. Our sprint out time is very noticeably improved though, which is very important with a build like this at 118 milliseconds. And not only is our TAQ stance spread noticeably tighter, also our standard hipfire spread is very noticeably tighter, so it's not bad at hip firing either. Now, like I said, this is a much more niche build. This is more so if you're just playing on like the smaller maps, for instance, and if you just really like using TAQ stance, give this one a shot. You may really like it. And with that, that's going to wrap it up for today's gun guide on the TAQ Eradicator. As for my thoughts on this gun, I love it. I really enjoy using it. It's one of my favorite LMGs in the game. But at the same time, it is sort of a high risk, high reward kind of a weapon. If you aren't hitting those first 7 shots consistently, like if you start shooting off target a lot and then trying to move yourself on the target, you're probably not going to find a whole lot of success. Similarly, if you don't pause enough between firing, you're not going to reset that first 7 shots. And then again, you're going to end up with that really slow fire rate, really slow time to kill, and you're going to struggle with it. In saying that, if you can keep it up so you consistently hit those first 7 shots fired and you're pausing appropriately, this is one of the best guns in the entire game. And therefore, there's a lot of potential here. But of course, these are just my opinions, and I'd love to hear what you guys think about this gun in those comments down below. And also, if you guys have missed any of the previous episodes, I will leave a link to the playlist in the description of the video. If you enjoyed this one, a like rating is always appreciated. And don't forget to subscribe for more if you haven't already. I'll talk to you guys next time.